Right, so the pulley had fouled on the alternator down there. So the first thing we need to do is take off the engine cover. So now we have the Duratorq engine and the alternator is down there. So initially I tried to take off the pulley with the pulley kit, but there's just not enough room between there and the chassis. So next thing was to try to undo the two bolts at the back. They are standard M8 13mm spanners, but they on the alternator it's got a movable block which has got the thread in it, and it's pressed into an alternator casing. And what it does is when you do the bolt up, it then grips the mounting bracket. So although you've undone the two bolts, you still can't move the alternator because it's now still compressed against the bracket. You have to get a crowbar or pry bar and pry it away. So anyway, so undoing the belt is another palaver because all the way down there is the tensioner, and with a spanner you have to pull the tensioner this way, which then covers the alternator. So that's fun taking that off. Anyway, so once I've got the belt off, then it was a matter of trying to undo the pulley. That didn't work. So shifting it forward this way gave me more clearance, and I was able to then get the pulley kit on it. One of the things they would say is be careful because the Torx can snap in the shaft. Yeah, that's exactly what I had. So then it meant that I had to take the pulley and the alternator into the workshop. So you have to take this whole housing off, and that is where the Citroen fuel filter sits. Once you've taken all that off, then you undo all the plugs and take the alternator off. And I'll go back to split on this video, go into the workshop and show you the pulley and the kit. Anyway, so putting it back on, when you've got all this out of the way, you can get the alternator on, but because the tensioner you need to pull this way, it then covers the pulley, so you can't put it on the belt. I was struggling for about half an hour. There is no way to put that pulley on unless you've got the special full tool, which is a lever which comes back and passes over the pulley. So the only way that I could find doing it is release the top bolt on the alternator. That's able then to swing forward, and the actual distance of the alternator from the air conditioning pump compressor is shorter, which means that not only is the spanner able to bring the tensioner forward, but the pulley's out of the way and you can put the belt on. And then you have to push the alternator back while doing the tension on that and getting the bolt in. Realistically 3 hands, but you can cup it, push it forward while your thumb is then pulling against the tensioner, and then your other hand is finding its way to get the bolt in. Once that's done, then you can put it all back together. And that's it. Now it works fine. That pulley, the Freewheel pulley, was £95 from Parts in Motion, and it's a German model, so it's a good bearing. That's the job. Now in the workshop, and this is the old pulley, which is, I don't know if you can see this, but I can spin it both ways. You can just hear the graunching of where it's trying to grip, but it's knackered. Anyway, so the shaft of the alternator sits in there, and this was the Torx which had snapped. You can see how bad it is. This is a cheap Chinese £12 kit. I've got a better set, Duratorq Expert, and the bit must have fallen out. I was able to use my Duratorq Expert one and undo the pulley. The spline just sits in there, and the Torx goes through like that, goes through to the shaft. On the new one, it's not a spline, it's a hex, and I had to use this the other way around, so that would sit in this way, and then I've got a pair of mole grips to hold this, and I was able to do the shaft up. And that's it. Oh, well, you can see it's actually spinning. I didn't realise how common these are to fail on all makes and models, because these are just produced for anyone. So this is not a Ford part, this is not just Fords that suffer from this problem, it's Audis, BMWs, Jags, they all do. It's unusual for them to fail, so you've got no drive at all. Normally they seize up and lock up, the bearings collapse inside and it just locks. But this one, yeah, it's a two-way bearing now. Anyway, that's it. These are so cheap that it's worth it literally just for these parts. There, as you can see, they're rubbish. They're too soft. So the Draper Expert ones, CK, any sort of branded make will be 10 times better than these. But that's your kit. Cheers.